91% of you voted that SK Gaming is going to win this one. We also said they might take it. Again, many people have them down to win it all, to take home that golden trophy you see in the center of the stage. But Revenant XSPARK definitely has a chance here. We're the dark horses already at LCQ. Nobody really believed in them to take it, but they rushed through their competition, and now they're standing here rightfully on this stage today. We're heading over to our first map of the day. It's going to be Hard Rock Mine, an old classic. And Trev, I see an old classic pick here as well, quite early, I might add, but Lily is going to be so strong to get those gems away. If the opponents have all the gems already, you can just sweep in with a hypercharge at the end.
Absolutely. Lily's a bold one to take early on, but I like it. You've got to question whether they go this aggressive stance and take the aggression to Revenant XSPARK, or play this defensive stance against them. And both ways can be a big risk, so it's just about managing that risk that's the difference. Nita's going to come rolling on here as well, and I wouldn't have said that's a pick that I'd have expected.
I think on the Lily note, she was a brawler that benefited the most from the raw stats that Hypercharge gave. That's where the blanket nerf was sort of aimed at now. You only get 20% move speed, 5% damage and shield. So she's still very powerful, of course. You know, her Hypercharge still very effective, allowing her to close the gap. And also, it now drags the opponent that you hit into the Shadow Realm with you, as opposed to Lily just popping down there herself with the gadget. So very, very powerful still. Important to wrest those gems out of the gem carrier's hands. We see Chester start to make his way back in now. Really powerful mid-range brawler with great damage output and ways to mitigate the randomness of those supers.
You said he made his way back. Yes, Chester and Nita had some showings, but not that often, honestly. Yeah. It's a super niche pick here from Revenant XSPARK. Sometimes you have to go with comfort picks, not just meta picks. And those two can certainly be strong. They shot some damage, especially against that Pam now, picked up as gem carrier from the side of SK Gaming, Trev.
Yeah, I've always liked Pam. You know, even before the Hypercharge came in, it slipped out the meta massively for such a long period of time, but it was a real staple in those gem grab maps, in those hot zone maps for a long period of time prior to those Hypercharges being introduced. But being one of the late receivers of this kind of buff has put it out of the game for such a long period, and I'm so excited to see it back.
SK Gaming are playing a ton of Pam right now. I mean, Joker with a really high win rate sort of in scrims. Yoshi's playing a ton of Pam. On gem grab, primarily, SK Gaming are trying to bring this in. It's also kind of wild to see the Maisie make her way back in. When, you know, Hypercharges were first added to the game, Maisie was used extensively because of how powerful hers was, but she is really effective at those longer ranges, has good mobility in terms of her disengage gadget, and of course the slowing capacity on her super. Definitely things you want to look towards. Kit here, though, to round things out. Obviously, very potent brawler. If you want someone who can fill that same role as Lily does in diving on the gem carrier, getting that assassination, and just abusing bushes and sort of map control, that's a great way to go here to round this draft out.
Absolutely. Well, as we are getting into the first game of the Brawl Stars World Finals 2025, will it be SK Gaming kicking off well, or will Revenant XSPARK show up with a massive upset early on in this competition? Getting into the game now, into Hard Rock Mine we go.
It's going to be Yoshi on the Pam here, of course, wants to be pretty oppressive through mid. That Scrap Sucker gadget, if that's the way they go. Being able to limit enemies' ammunition reserves is very powerful. Joker already wants to be the aggressor. Ope's going to try and split the map diagonally and find some of these connections on towards Response, but he's already been able to garner himself a couple of gems, and Sergeant's on the hunt. Has built that Kit super up now and is looking for someone to jump on. Yoshi gets popped instantly, gems drop down. Response a little bit low. Joker's managed to find his way into the back line, and he pops out of the Shadow Realm. Flourish connects onto Jade, and that is an SK team wipe.
Well, there was a bit of a turnaround in gems and a turnaround again. Sergeant's going to go aggressive, and that's going to be a wasted jump as Joker just going to retreat back to his home line. That's a good kill from Sergeant and over-aggression from Joker. This is a tough situation for them now. Nita Bear coming in with a faux fur as well, and Pam not going to be able to deal with that too quickly.
That's going to give you map control. That Nita super essentially allows you to move a bit further forward like Sergeant wants to now. Looking at Yoshi, he already has super, but takes a couple slashes and lays the Pam low. Here's Joker there with a hypercharge. Sergeant getting dragged in the Shadow Realm. It's an easy pickup for the Lily, and Joker's looking for more now. Pops up, sees Jay in his sights, but in the background, Ope is forced Response right up to the top of the map, allowing Yoshi now to get up to 6 gems. There's 8 in total for SK.
I mean, incredible from Joker to be able to get them out of that real sticky situation in the back spawn. 8 gems and make that 9 as Yoshi picks this up one that's just spawned on his side. Response still playing through the mid. Got a super to work with as well, but you've got to question what it is going to be. Round the side, X9J trying to make a move. Sergeant along with them as well, playing the bait. going in, has the stun, but goes for OP instead, and he'll be dealt with quickly. Jay trying to refrag, but the Hyper Super's there and the kill as well. Joker going aggressive, and the 10th is collected by SK.
SK now happy to give up some space. Joker carrying no gems can simply run interference here with a super, being able to connect onto potentially response. Whoever wants to try and go after Yoshi, it's a very tanky gem carrier. OP gets hit by Sergeant, but they're going to be able to shrug this off, and here comes the healing turret. Jay simply ceases to exist, and that defensive last pick of the Maisie in SK's draft makes it so dangerous to dive on them with the kid.
Absolutely, super scrappy game there. A lot of it was spent in SK's spawn, to be honest with you, but a few gems flipped here and there allowed them to get the win on the board. Revenant starting okay, you know, they maybe take a little bit of a while to sink into their seats and get going, but SK Gaming off to a flying start with the first game on the board.
I think Sergeant has to think really hard about where he's trying to go with these Kiss Supers. Onto Ope, all well and good. Yoshi actually not in a position to help out. That could have been dangerous, but Sergeant picks his target very effectively. Joker into the Shadow Realm and has that Flourish Super at the ready. They collapse on Jade, but Sergeant is still a problem. Cycling those supers, and Yoshi's not able to dig the feline menace out of the bushes. Again, it's Ope being dove on, and a super from response of the bomb variety will secure the elimination.
Yeah, nice little combo plays here from Sergeant and Response, playing an incredible good game. Joker in the back of the spawn, need to try to push her out, but Kit still in the back line. He's got to be really cautious about this stun, but Sergeant can't over-aggress at this point because his teammates aren't in a position to help him out. Now coming out of this left-hand side, just retreating to the back spawn as Joker has the hypercharge and they need to defend Response.
It's a game of chicken between Joker and Sergeant here. It feels like whoever blinks first loses in terms of those gap-closing, hard-initiating supers. It's got to be dodged away from. Ope's able to use that disengage gadget to get enough distance away from Sergeant. So the Kit now will have to head back to base with his tail between his legs. Tries to come forward underneath the cardboard box, but Joker found that first kill, and Sergeant now is in an awkward spot. Ope, flashing super, knows that there's no point for Revenant to dive him right now as all the gems are sat on the Pam, and there's a healing turret, well protected. In goes Joker. Nice super connection onto the gem carrier. Sergeant gonna try and trade out, but Joker simply ducks down into the Shadow Realm. And this Nina Bear, Bruce doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of garnering map control for Revenant XSPARK.
I mean, if you asked Revenant who they didn't want the gems on, Sergeant would be that man, forced to go aggressive now. Joker trying to get some work done on the defense. Has a super of his own again to be able to go in. 7 to 8, make that 9 to 7 now as Yoshi picks up that one. Sergeant going to go aggressive here as well. Response with the reach. Should be able to get the shots in. A little TP forward and a little duck into the Shadow Realm from Joker keeps these gems on their side. Yoshi in the healing turret and Revenant just trying to get something going.
Sergeant has hyper, but no super just yet, and not close enough, frankly, to get that damage in. He pops it for the raw stats anyway, but Ope's got a hyper super, and there it is. The slow is devastating, cycling them one after another, and SK Gaming snatch up our first set.
I mean, you can't ask for a better set for SK Gaming there. There was a few hiccups, but they dealt with it incredibly well. Revenant XSPARK, just having those gems land on the wrong person towards the late portions of those games kind of ties the knot and allows SK to get that first set on the board.
Brawl, of course, a little bit famous for SK Gaming as they were the team that pioneered the corner the ball strat. Once they get ahead by a goal, you'll often see them not look to take any further risks, just try and tuck the ball away and play safe. Park the bus in football terms. We'll see our bands come in now. Cordelius, B, and Shade banned out by Revenant XSPARK. The Meep will taken away by SK Gaming. And Gale makes an early appearance here on Super Beach. Always a premium option when it comes to Brawl Ball.
Absolutely. Gale, it's a... You know, with the hypercharge, it makes it okay. It's a decent brawler, very good defensively, but it's not something that I'd have expected Revenant to be lunging towards on a map like this. Super defensive, which kind of doesn't resonate with them too much, but they've banned the Shade out the way. The Cordelius, 2 really solid picks. B's going to have a bit of range through the mid, and you know the players that SK Gaming have are going to be able to champion that brawler super well, so it might be a little bit more targeted along with still being decent. SK Gaming then bringing in the Willow as their first pick, probably the best thrower there is in Brawl Ball. Got the capability of diving down, ducking out the way of shots, and the mind control in these kind of influential moments is huge.
Otis, though, so powerful right now. Still a consummate duelist. One of the best one-on-one brawlers if you can land that super and basically knock someone out of the game for a brief time. That's very important on maps like Super Beach. That's why Cordelius is so highly valued, and in this case is ultimately banned out. Willow, obviously we know all about what mind control can do for you on Brawl Ball, you know, causing you to score own goals. Revenant XSPARK want to respond with a thrower of their own. They go for their next best option on a map that has good bush coverage. Juju is going to outrange this Willow in those situations.
Well, we talked on the hypercharges a little bit, and Juju is one that has been thrown heavily into the meta thanks to that. Big buff in HP, damage, and if you pair that with the slow star power, if you get hit by it, it's a 1 second slow with that star power, so it's pretty much guaranteed death if there's brawlers there to be able to help that Gree out. So huge pick for them, and it'll help Primo to round things out. They're going big, they're going bold, and I love it.
Yeah, a lot of pressure here on the backline. El Primo is going to offer wall break, and also the ability to strip possession of the ball with that suplex gadget. So ton of options, and always a very popular pick, especially in a match where Cordelius is not going to be an option, right? I think Otis is still dangerous for Primo, still a very powerful duelist. But I do think having that level of mobility to be able to threaten backline. You've also got an anti-tank option already. SK Gaming just go in for the Shelly. They say, with the Gale in play, we don't feel confident bringing tanks in. Maybe another tank buster for ourselves here in the Shelly.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. You know, they've got the Otis, which is good against tanks already.
Yep.
Willow's going to be the best thrower you can have against tanks. You know, it's probably not the dream, but it's better than most against these tankier units. So just being able to mind control that, move him away, waste some ammo, and possibly even put him on top of the brawlers like the Shelly, move him towards that can be a real difficult situation. Both teams going very bold here, I feel.
Obviously, Otis Hypercharge now allows a stun on top of the previous mute, so fantastic stopping power in Joker's hands here, or rather in Yoshi's, pardon. Ope, they're going to be able to take down the Primo. That is exactly where Shelly is going to shine. It's a lane assignment Ope was looking for, and the Frenchman gets his just desserts. Now he looks to pressure Jay's position. This is good for SK. Yoshi in no hurry here, but response is a bit of a pain in the neck for him, as collecting the ball safely is going to be an issue.
Yeah, gonna have to be cautious of this Primo jump, and he is just sticking on that right-hand side as well. He's like, all right, Ope, you've got me here in the draft, but I'm gonna try out skill you just a little bit more. Jay coming in with a pinch here as well. Jump comes in, not gonna find the connection, but the stun's there with Jay.
Yoshi's
Joker
low.
in the goal, Yoshi low, he has the mute, but they're getting so many kills, and the Fat Splatter just ticking down that health, stopping him from healing up, and that is a very good defense from SK.
Great zone control off that Otis gadget. It's really a small thing you don't often get a chance to scrutinize. And I believe Response has not taken the Acupuncture star power. Has gone for the extra shielding on Grigory with that super. Really favouring the durability in a pinch. Here's Ope. Look at that mobility, though. Hypercharged super at the ready. Jay, of course, corners the ball behind one of those twisted gadget activations. But SK Gaming a full map control. They are laying it on thick.
Yeah, well, Willow here is going to be a big issue for them. Sergeant going in with a big jump here as well. Ope low, and Response just sitting behind this wall, knowing they have to play this defensive game for a while now. Will have this range advantage while slotting in this bush, so it's something that SK might want to get broken up quite quickly. Here comes the Hypercharge Ryu with the shield behind it as well, and Sergeant has a Hypercharge ready to go, and that's the goal scoring ability you want.
Ope trying to dodge away from it. Sergeant's still going to connect, but mind controlled up by the Willow! And to add insult to injury, big bad bustling El Primo scores an own goal.
I mean, a huge hypercharge super coming in there from Joker as well, making him vulnerable and stopping the rest of Revenant from getting him out of that position. Response now on the left-hand side being aggressed by Yoshi, who will collect that mid-kill. And Response knows he needs to make a push, but he's got nobody to help him.
Joker's just tapping down too many of these nice thrower shots. Cleaned up the El Primo now. Joker going to use the dive gadget, but it's timed perfectly by Response. He sees the Willow emerge and gets a shot on them straight away. Ope here's going to look to close the gap in almost all situations, but now has his hands full in that 1 versus 2. Sergeant though busy trying to collect the ball because time is short, and SK Gaming have that goal lead. Sergeant knows with that mind control active, there's nothing he can really do. Time will tick down, and SK Gaming are going to take this first game of Brawl Ball.
I mean, I must say Response is playing an incredible Juju in this Brawl Ball, but there's just nobody else there to help him. The Gale's being dealt with by the Otis, the Shelly's absolutely decimating the Primo, and Sergeant's doing what he can, but he's had no opportunities to score on the Primo yet.
Once again, it's the last pick here for SK in this draft that's kind of dismantled the game plan for Revenant XSPARK. The Shelly coming up here with SK seeing the anti-tank presence on Revenant XSPARK. They choose not to opt in to that trap or to walk headlong into the game plan. And it's worked out beautifully. Sergeant again is going to get crushed here between Otis and Shelly. There's so much to shut down that El Primo, and Jay is going to bleed out from that poison. Easiest goal here. Ope thought he could walk it in. Does get collected up by Sergeant, but SK have drawn a very deep battle line now, and Sergeant, I mean, can't even get towards the Shelly, who simply dashes away from the super.
The gadget has been a huge help to Ope as well in these situations, just getting away from the Primo jumps and forcing him to waste an ability that it takes so long for him to care. And that's going to be the game changer. If he keeps on missing those, he's not going to have them to score the goals that Revenant need, and they've got no other means of scoring. Ope back on the right-hand side. Yoshi with a super, same with Joker on the left here. So what can Revenant do to break through? And he's going to have to pass the ball to the left and just try to stay away from Ope. Does as well as he can, but it's still nothing.
It just feels almost impossible for Ope to lose that matchup against the Primo. Just the perfect answer to that brawler. Jay can only hide here behind this barrier and try and heal up. But Sergeant once again walks into a hail of shotgun shots, and he knows if Ope hits that super and he's close enough, he will simply disintegrate. There it is, wall going to be blown up. Ope is playing with his food right now. And SK Gaming happy to walk up, take some space. Joker here with that super, uses response to collect the ball from the corner. Ope, that's classy! Break open the left side of the goal and slot it through.
Really nice there as well, Sergeant. Jump in hand. Jay needs to get a stun here and try and combo it. There's the stun. Ope might be able to go down here, and Sergeant might have a chance, but the shots from Otis are so pungent. The pass is there to the Juju. Joker's diving down, and Revenant finally find a response to the SK domination.
Finally able to corner SK and get a nice El Primo super off. Sergeant now with a hypercharge, hoping to collect. Yoshi going to get caught inside that, but Joker gets clear of it. Sergeant got to get mind control. He'll back up though as a result, but simply creates a bit more space for SK to breathe.
That's fine. The super was required for the defense, but I don't think Revenant will mind that situation. Jump comes in now, and Joker might be caught out, forced to dive down, but will surely still die in that situation. OP trying to just go it himself. The hypercharge is there, and he'll just run him down, but Grigory's still alive to do some of the dirty work.
Now Yoshi on his own here, but healthy enough and with enough rope at least to deal with Grigory. SK Gaming in no hurry. Happy actually to go to overtime here. Sergeant hit with the mute button and will be completely nullified. Now Ope gets to move up the middle of the field. It's going to get opened up a lot more. No more bushes here for response to get that range bonus, and SK Gaming do not want to mince words with their opponents here. Very quickly converting as overtime comes up.
Absolutely. This is where nerves are at the highest, and you've got to question if that's kind of coming into play, as well as this draft not being what I'm sure they want it to be. Real tough situation for them to get anything on the board so far, but this is where they need to lock in and focus. Bans are there already with the Mina, the Gene, and the Squeak from the side of Revenant XSPARK. Over the flip side, we're going to see a Meeple selected early on, as we mentioned at the start of the show, with the hypercharge. Really, really solid. Hank, Jae-Young and Gray going to be banned out from the SK Gaming side.
Yeah, so Jae-Young is a very much a go-to pick for Revenant XSPARK on this map. This is RNT's best map in scrims in the lead up to this tournament. It's honestly been a really good one for SK Gaming though, and these two teams go for very different styles. SK prefer the Squeak and RT stance on this map, whereas we see Jae-Young max and Gus brought in quite often. Gus is definitely going to be a contested brawler on this map. Kaze picked up. That's Joker's most played brawler. But Jay, of course, a dab hand with that one in his back pocket, and Ollie will be the second pick here for Revenant XSPARK.
Well, Ollie's solid. It's bringing in the aggression that they probably wanted to do with the Hank, I imagine. SK probably looked at what they've been drafting in scrims, what they've been, choosing to go, and the Hank might be that brawler. Revenant might, bring in this other tanky unit for a bit of a different play. But Kaze should be able to slide in for that blue star, get that early control. But I feel with these two brawlers, you need to keep that aggression going rather than let the opponents come to you.
But I mean, Kaze's been Response's best brawler in the lead up here, and the Ollie is definitely a Sergeant Clash. I hope we get the Ope Mortis. Bro is 80% win rate in the scrims in the lead up to this tournament on that brawler. And it doesn't seem like there's any glaring opportunity for Mortis to sort of abuse a matchup advantage, but again, sees like this other assassin type brawler in the Kaze, and Ope's always going to back himself, I think, in the head-to-head.
Absolutely. I mean, Ope just seems to be getting every single brawler that he wants to play and loves to play. Shelly, we've seen him champion that before. Same with the Mortis in these big competitions. Even when he's picking the brawlers that aren't really in the meta, he makes them work into the matchups, and Revenant leaving themselves completely open to that. Gus going to be coming in as the last pick then, giving themselves a bit of a balance for that comp, have the shield, might be able to provide it to the Mortis and give him some help as well, but it definitely rounds it out very nice.
Yeah, I really thought that would be the most contested brawler between these two teams here, and in fact, SK really opted to try and lock down the Meeple earlier on, and in the pre-show we talked about how Meeple's shot back up into ubiquity in Brawl Stars now. That hypercharge really allows you to do some things that previously were impossible. SK want to get big map control, come and play forward behind that Meeple hypercharge. But Ziggy finally makes his appearance here for Revenant XSPARK.
Well, we discussed this at the start. The new brawler coming in comes fresh with a hypercharge as well, where that super returns to the same position. But I wouldn't have expected to see it come in this early. And, we especially with, SK Gaming having these brawlers that they've got, it's not like they don't have the aggression to go after a Ziggy. That's what he can't deal with, and they've got a Mortis.
Obviously, there is a gadget that allows Ziggy to teleport away, but it's still dangerous. Look at Ope. He gets that blue star priority, but Response was ready to fight for it. So you can see how much of the game plan that is for SK Gaming to get that early lead. And look at Sergeant getting tapped down already. Yoshi connecting a lot of these meeple shots as well. Joker and Ope ready to collapse the map. Revenant and XSPARK look pretty uncomfortable early.
Absolutely, with SK back in their spawn. Revenant going aggressive, but not looking too convincing just yet. Ziggy needs to find a few connections and have that real heavily pinning super come out. Gadget being popped now as well. Joker taking a few shots to the face. Ope goes in just to relieve a bit of that pressure and does just that. Keeps Joker alive and in the mix.
Yellow card awarded here for Revenant and XSPARK. Not quite sure why, but it's important to remember that these meeple shots are target-seeking to some degree. They will veer in the direction of that target, kind of like a mini homemade recipe. So easy to connect those one after another. And SK can use that meeple super behind some of this cover to get an inherent advantage. It's actually not the teleport gadget picked up here for the Ziggy. It's the lightning strikes that follow a target. So Sergeant looking for that extra damage here, but SK finding plenty of that themselves now. Meeple under pressure in the back corner. What a clutch gust super though to keep Yoshi hale and hearty.
Really nice, but Ope left on his own on the right-hand side, and Response trying to take advantage of that, clipping him out here. But Yoshi's going to got a hypercharge of his own, going aggressive through the wall. And in the back lines, they get the kill as well. Sergeant, the only one surviving, and what can he do other than run away?
Not a damn thing. That was sick from Yoshi. He splits Revenant and XSPARK in half with that super and is able to fight their backline in an unfair fashion. He's got yet another super to work with now as well. Allow them to hide behind these trash cans and also take some shots themselves. Ope fancies a bit of a fight, and the lifeblood's got to be enough to clean up Response. Dangerous here for Revenant and XSPARK. 7-0 in terms of stars. Here comes a fantastical storm, but Ope completely ignores it. No Sergeant doesn't have an escape gadget built in, and that is a devastating stun. Beautifully done as Jay will fall, and Revenant are only going to have 4 stars out of this round.
I mean, I can't help but feel the same way again. The draft is deciding these games massively. Not that SK are playing bad, they've had incredible moments. Ope going aggressive, wonderful dust shields. They're playing incredible as a team and incredible mechanically. But Revenant don't feel like they're in this.
Where's the Ollie super? We've been looking for Revenant and XSPARK to be able to make a play behind that high mobility brawler, but there was no opportunity for that in that earlier round. Again, an easy blue star pickup for Ope. Response doesn't bother going for it this time.
Well, it is the 1-star lead, and that is the blue one on the side of SK Gaming. Revenant need to mount this massive comeback and start it now. SK just one away from moving on to the next round of this competition. Ope just evading these shots nicely. Joker will come across, gets a shield of his own here, might be able to provide it to Ope and let him go in, but just choosing to wait. Now gives it to him, and Revenant just going to retreat and try and make him waste it.
Ope here benefits from the shield in that it allows him to play more aggressively for that map control. So SK have given themselves a little bit more room in which to work, but these Ziggy gadgets are a bit of a nuisance, and the shots coming in from Sergeant have been pretty close to the mark. Jay getting tapped low. That otherwise pretty healthy Ollie down below 4,000 means that Revenant have to continue to give some ground.
Hypercharge is ready to go for Joker. Can be used offensively or defensively at the same time. Sergeant still raining down this lightning, but not finding the desired connections. Needs to get a super to pin them back in the spawn in these later phases. There it is, but Ope's going aggressive, chooses to go up, misses one of the shots, but still gets the kill. Meeple super's there, and Yoshi just staying aggressively. Has the super off Joker as well, but goes down. It's still 1 star between them.
Good answer there from Sergeant Clash to throw the storm down with that Meeple super in play. There was nowhere safely for Yoshi to be able to operate. And so he ends up getting chewed up by it. Still a star lead for SK Gaming. It's of the blue variety as well, but Ope's the one holding onto it here. Joker wants to come forward, and that gadget from Sergeant is being spammed on cooldown.
I mean, I just love the fact Ope knows when to go in and knows when to stop. He goes back, forwards, and wastes so much of that kit that Revenant and XSPARK are trying to hold for these later phases. Ollie super's there, and that's what you wanted to see in the last one. We'll see if he makes use of it this time. Response trying to get something done with the shield.
Dominated.
The kill, and Ope just slinging these supers out like nobody's business. Can they get the kill? They do, but it's traded! An SK hold! They get it done in a quick 3-0 sweep.
Tough pill to swallow there for Revenant XSPARK. Not the debut they were hoping for here in Stockholm.